What is up, my moist brecky babies? It's your boy, Moist Brecky Brandon, here to talk about Moist Brecky Blade Show. Apologies for whatever the hell that intro was. Blade Show 2024 is approaching. It is taking place June 7th to June 9th in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Cobb Galleria Center. We've done a lot of coverage of Blade Show over the years on the main willhirsch YouTube channel. And one of our dear Patreon supporters and also a fellow Balisong content creator, The Buffness, actually asked us to make a video about Blade Show and give some updated thoughts on what's coming up and what to get excited about. So huge shout out to him. He makes awesome Balisong content. So thank you, The Buffness. And I hope this gets your hype train going, because he was like, I need more hype stuff. I'm so excited. So Blade Show, for those that don't know what it is, Blade Show is the largest knife show in the entire world. There are more knives, more vendors than any other event in the entire world. And just so happens that I thankfully live about 10 minutes from there. And Will and I have both separately lived close to Blade Show for years now. And being that close to the world's largest knife event is really, really good when you're making Balisong videos. Here today I have a actual knife I took from my Prisma V1, a Marin blade from review that I made almost a couple years ago now. But I put it on some Prisma Pro handles in memoriam of discontinued Machine-Wise products, because the Prisma line is being discontinued along with the Slift T. In making way for some new Balisongs, and that upset me. So now here I am living out, thankfully, one of the best Machine-Wise experiences I've had, alongside the Seraph, which is somewhere and not in my immediate field of view for some reason, despite the fact that I was just flipping and it's probably out there. But anyway, so Blade Show. Again, it's the world's largest knife convention, and that also makes it the biggest gathering of Balisong flippers in the entire world. It's not just it happens to be a pretty big thing. It is the largest gathering of people who flip Balisongs in the entire world. There's Blade Show Texas, there's Blade Show West, which is in Utah, but those don't even come close to the amount of people that go to Blade Show and the amount of Balisong vendors that are at Blade Show. For example, I went to Blade Show Texas in February of 2023. And there was essentially two Balisong booths. One that was essentially BRS and one that was Squid Industries. And Squid Industries always has a fantastic booth because they spend a ton of money on it and actually give dedicated places for people to flip and all that good stuff. But there was only two. Whereas with Blade Show Atlanta, from here on out, I'll just call it Blade Show East, since that's what most people call it, Blade Show East, because it's the most eastern. You have Squid Industries, BRS, Flytanium is usually there, Machine-Wise, Acid Work / Shop Soet, Jerry Hom, and then various other smaller makers like that are more like artisan kind of people that are more making custom kind of stuff like that. So whether you're looking for something cheap or looking for something expensive, Blade Show most definitely has you covered. And it's already one of the world's biggest knife shows. Or no, it is the biggest knife show. So anything knife related, it's the place to go. But it's been a couple years since we actually made a video about the realities of Blade Show and what you can kind of expect. So at the end of the video, I'm actually going to hop off the head cam and I'm going to hop on my computer and give you kind of a rundown of the layout of the show, the things that you can do around the show. Since I'm, of course, an Atlanta local, I have many, many, many recommendations for things to do, and so I'll get into that later. But for those that have never been to Blade Show and want to be convinced to go, here's my spiel. So I actually went to Blade Show for the very first time in 2019, and it was before I was ever truly into Balisongs. It was right after I had moved to Atlanta, because I grew up in Texas and lived in Texas, and I moved to Atlanta. And so it was barely a month after that Blade Show took place. and I went with Will. And I owned a Squiddy at the time, and I like a really bad like clone butter, like actual comb, like Benchmade clone. But that was my first exposure to it. I only went for one day. I didn't really meet any other flippers. I just walked around the show with Will for a little bit, and then actually had the opportunity to come back and meet a bunch of the flippers and stuff. I believe I met, oh my god, it is Eldon Talley. I met him, and he was probably the only actual Balisong person I met, but it was just a completely random happenstance kind of thing. But it's funny that in 2019, even because the first video that Will and I made was because he bought his JK Design Monarch. He bought it at that Blade show, and then he asked me, hey, you want to make a video about this? And so that's how we got started making Balisong videos together. So because of that, Blade show has a very special place in my heart. But for that very first one, I wasn't actually super interested in it. Though I've always liked knives and swords and all that good stuff. So yeah, since then we've made more and more content at Blade Show. We've met more and more people. Being at Blade Show was really kind of the foundation for a lot of different things. That was where we really got to meet and spend time with Lucas, and that led to making videos with him. And now we have the willhirsch Squiddy. That was where we really first got to meet Machine Wise and talk to him. And so it's just an incredible place to come to, not only to get to, browse different Balisongs and experience them and all that good stuff, but just it's so much the people. Because there's also essentially the world's largest Balisong event too, which is Balicomp, which is a Balisong flipping competition. And that's always a blast to watch. People go absolutely buck wild at that show. Or that event. Like, it is crazy. Like, if you think you are a good flipper, boy howdy, go to Balicomp, and you will see a new level of flipping that you didn't think was possible before. I actually have somewhere in my office, I have like a Balicomp, like 2019 little like cloth that I keep with me that's more precious to me now. But so, in terms of the structure of Blade Show, not only is there the main show, but there's also a very specific thing that some people don't know about, and you would be not in the wrong at all for not knowing that this wasn't an option or a thing that you could do. But there's a thing called The Pit. It's been dubbed The Pit. I don't know who named it The Pit, but it's called The Pit. And there is a hotel, and I'll show the layout of all this stuff again at the end of the video and show you where it is. But it's in the Renaissance Waverly Hotel. The whole area around the Cobb Galleria Center, the actual convention center where Blade Show takes place. It's a great convention center. It's right next to a mall. There's lots of food options. It's a pretty safe area. It's right off the highway, so it can get pretty busy depending on the time of day and stuff. But as a whole, it's a very nice area, and there's also a really nice hotel called the Renaissance Waverly Hotel, and they have a lobby area that's fully carpeted that the Balisong Flippers has just decided this is where we're going to go after the show. And that usually, I believe the show generally ends at about 6 p.m. Everyone that is even remotely related to flipping generally will go there at some point before they officially leave the show, or they'll leave the show and they'll come back to the pit. Just a big, giant, open carpeted area. So if you have ever wanted to just sit down with people and try Balisongs, get to know them, and try more things than you'd ever thought possible. The amount of people that have come up to me and been like, hey, try this. And they'll just stick out some like $1,500 Balisong. Like, hey, let me know what you think. Whether they made it, whether they bought it, whatever it is absolutely crazy. And so both at the show, thankfully everything's very focused for Balisong stuff in one specific corner of the show. There's two big rooms, one big room and one smaller room. The big room is almost all knives, and you'll see a couple Balisong places scattered throughout, but mostly it's all just regular knives or swords or what have you. But the smaller room is where all the Balisong stuff is, generally. That's where you're going to find Squid Industries and Machine Wise and Flytanium and Jerry Hom, and pretty much everybody centralizes in that room, and it's in a specific corner. Squid Industries pays for dedicated spaces for people to flip, like multiple different spaces. They have a whole tuning booth, so if you need any of their products tuned, I believe they even will tune with no guarantees of how well they'll do. Even products that aren't theirs, they'll tune it completely for free. You do not have to pay at all. They accept tips and stuff like that, but they do not expect you to pay for any of it. So it's just a fantastic place that you can congregate during the show and actually get to flip with people and get to meet people. And then after the show, you can go to the pit and then just hang out. And people hang out there till like 3 or 4 in the morning. And as far as I know, there's never been any problems or no one's ever gotten in trouble or anything like that. In terms of the actual show itself, this is a thing that Will talked about in a video a couple years ago, which was essentially just don't be an idiot. The thing about us being Balisong flippers is we are doing the things that I am doing right now with a razor sharp knife. That is generally not the kind of thing that you want to be just doing willy-nilly in any random part of the show, is walking around with a razor sharp knife that could fly off your finger at any moment and hurt somebody around you. So flip in the designated areas that are meant for you to flip in. That doesn't mean you can't flip like a trainer if you're going around or whatever, but just have some common sense. Don't be an idiot. There were people in the past that they were like throwing Balisongs from like 2 or 3 stories up, and like trying to catch them and flip them and all that, and like just doing horribly stupid things. Just don't do stupid things is the main PSA there, because we're very fortunate to have a place like Blade Show that we can all congregate. But if people do enough stupid stuff, Balisongs could be outright banned from Blade Show. Very slim chance of that happening because it's such a huge portion of the show. But in terms of people being out and about flipping, they could make that a no-go, and then we can't flip on the show floor. And that would really, really suck, because that's just such a core part of what makes Blade Show. And also, camera, you're drifting a little low there, bud. You good? Good, great. In terms of the show itself, I believe it costs about $70 for a 3-day pass, or $30 per day if you just want to go individually. And then hotel at this stage, like if you're not booked to go to the show, most of the hotels around it are going to be booked up and all that kind of stuff. But as a whole, it's a pretty affordable show to go to. It's not too far from the Atlanta airport if you need to fly in. And again, it's an accessible area with lots of stuff to do around it. And again, I'll get into that once I actually go to my computer and sit down with you there. But before I stop flipping, I wanted to talk about some of my fun experiences I've had at Blade Show in the past, in terms of things that I'm excited about. And that was one of the things that the Buffness specifically wanted me to talk about, was what I'm excited about. And I'm always excited to see what Squid Industries has cooked up. They always have an amazing booth with tons of Balisongs, and they usually have some kind of exclusive thing that they release. The only exclusive thing I ever bought from them was this Blade Show exclusive purple Bowie Crackerack Bowie, whatever it is. And it actually, you wouldn't really be able to see it, but it actually says Blade Show 2022, number 2 of 5. So I'm always excited to see what they have there. From what I understand, don't quote me on this, I've just heard hearsay. I guess Machine Wise may not have a ton of stuff to sell at Blade Show this year. Also, I'm just going to flip the Kraken now. We're going purple today, boys and women and thems. Whatever you identify as, everybody is welcome. But their Machine Wise may not have a huge presence this year, but they should have some stuff to try. I'm really, really curious to try the Sasori and Totori from them, and I hope that they have some units there for people to flip, because considering it was those Balisongs that led to or not led to, but those are what are replacing the Prisma line, and I love the Prisma line. I'm very, 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 very curious to see how those are going to flip. One company that I forgot to mention that does actually have a dedicated booth, if you look at the map, is EPS Knives, who's made, I don't own any of his Balisongs, but Will owns, I believe, a couple of them. And he really, really enjoys his EPS stuff. And I'm really excited to see how that ends up going. I know Zippy Balisong, who makes 3D printed Balisong accessories and Balisongs themselves, like the Cycloid HD. I believe he's going to be working with Jerry Halm and selling some of his stuff at Jerry's booth. So seeing some new people on the show floor is going to be really, really exciting. Because there's always, we're at a very interesting place in the hobby where there's more options than ever, but we're also at a decline in terms of the amount of people getting into the hobby. And so that puts, I feel like, a lot more pressure on people at Blade Show, since that's one of the main places you can really get to sell and show off your stuff and put a face to the name. So I'm excited to put a face to the name of different people that I haven't really met before, haven't gotten to properly interact with. Maybe we'll get to make videos with some new people this year. And so that part of it is always really exciting, because that's what's fulfilling about doing this whole video thing in the first place, is you get to shine a light on people that wouldn't normally have a light shown on them. And that's just a really fulfilling aspect of the job that I really, really enjoy. Also, apologies for the slightly boring flipping. I'm only doing live blades, and I really don't want to fuck up my hand in the lead up to Blade Show, so that's why I'm just doing this same combo over and over. But I have been learning some new stuff. I've been trying to smooth out my behind the 8 ball and make that a little bit more consistent, so that's what I've been focusing on. But the other thing I'm excited about is just getting to meet everybody. And I'm a little scared, because this year, or I guess, so 2023... we had a group of, or let's go even further back. 2022, we had like a little group of people that we got to hang out with pretty consistently. It was Dalen of Machine Wise, Grant from Fellowship Blades, Ethan /Camaro EE /Blade Bias, Ty /Blade Bias. We just had a little group of 4 or 5 people that we got to hang out with, and it was great. We, after the show, like on Sunday and Monday, we went around downtown Atlanta and did a bunch of fun stuff together, and that was fantastic. Then 2023, the group grew a little bit, but it was still a great group that we could go out to eat with and consistently hang out with. Dalen got an Airbnb that we were all able to go and hang out at, and that was really fun. But we've talked so much to so many people about going to Blade Show that apparently this year, everyone decided to go. And so it's funny, because last year I probably had, I don't know, like 8 to 10 people that I knew. I was like, ooh, I'm excited to get to hang out with them again, excited to get to talk to them, maybe make a video together or something like that, and have a good, like, not just a casual conversation, but just a good, deep dive into getting to know them and learn about their business or who they are, what they do. I love and cherish that kind of stuff a lot. But this year, it's like 20 to 30 people on the list of people. It ranges from Patreon supporters to makers that have never gone to Blade Show, and different flippers, content creators. Like, so many people are going to Blade Show, and it's an amazing problem to have, but it's got me a little wary about what because Will and I, we're making videos, and we do our best to, balance making, having a full production schedule most days of the show, and then being able to interact with fans and make videos with the fans, and get to try all the different Balisongs that everybody wants us to try, and it's super fun. But it's just put me in particular in an interesting position of, like, I've told so many people, like, hey, yeah, come to Blade Show, we'll hang out, we'll have a great time. We can go do this and go do this and go do that. But now there's like 30 of those people, and obviously I can't be ushering a posse of 30 people around trying to hang out with everybody all at the same time. But it's great that it's at that point, and I am just so curious to see how that's going to go. And hopefully I can find some moments of peace where I can just sit down with different people, and I'll have my collection there, which you can, if I lean up, can you? Yeah, there's some of my collection there. Because I love being able to just sit down and talk with people and try Balisongs and just get to know them. So hopefully those moments will happen, but we will see. But in terms of the stuff I'm excited about, it's really just the whole vibe of it. And I actually said this to the Buffness in our Discord server, our Patreon Discord server, which was, if you're really, really excited for Blade Show, you can go. And I can almost guarantee you're going to have at least somewhat of a good time. But don't try to figure out everything about the show beforehand. Part of this kind of stuff and this experience is just you go with the flow. You just experience people, you'll meet people, you'll find groups of people to hang out with and go do things with. And that is always just kind of an effortless kind of process. The story that I love to talk about was at Blade Show 2022 whenever I met Ethan and Ty. Ethan and Ty, their expectation was like, we'll maybe get to meet Will and Brandon for a little bit and have a conversation with them, and then that'll be it. And we'll get to meet these YouTubers that we like. Maybe best case scenario, we'll get to like go out to eat or go to lunch or something like that. But that's the most that we can hope for. And what ended up happening was Will and I just absolutely adored spending time with Ethan and Ty. And so everywhere we went, every lunch that we had, everything that we did was with Ethan and Ty, because we just enjoyed spending that amount of time with them. And that wasn't even something I expected. I didn't go into it like, oh, we're going to spend all our time with them and that's going to be amazing. It was just, these were people I'd met online and talked to and watched their videos and stuff and felt like I would vibe with, but wasn't sure. And so it's those kinds of experiences that I want people to be open to. It's great to have an expectation and great to know what you're getting into going into it, but also just have some fun with it and go with the flow. Especially like if you're flying in. I'm pretty well traveled at this point, and some of my favorite memories are just the random things that happened, or somebody asked me, hey, go do this thing, or hey, you want to go do this, or let's go do that. And it was just, this is totally outside of what I would normally do. Not in like a bad way, like this person is asking me to do something stupid or illegal or nothing like that. But it's like, if this is a good thing that isn't going to hurt me or anybody else, sure, let's go for it. And so even with Ethan and Ty, one of our favorite memories is we went to Waffle House very late at night. I think we had been to the pit and we were there late and we wanted to go do something. And so we went to Waffle House, and there are still memes that we reference on a weekly basis that are from that night at that Waffle House. And so it's a great time. But anyway, this video is going to be long, so I hope you're excited for Blade Show. But now I'm going to hop off, and I'm going to hop on my computer, give you a layout of the show, show you the map, show you some of the stuff to do around the show, and we're going to have a great time. So I'll see you there. One quick thing before we go to the computer. I just realized I have no idea when this happened, and I'll have to review the footage, but I had a screw fall out of my Prisma Pro while I was flipping it. Have no idea where that is. But if it gives any idea about what the machine-wise tolerances are like, there is no screw, and this doesn't even tap and has very, very little play and still flips exceptionally. So I'll find that screw, but leave a timestamp in the comments of when you noticed, oh, the screw fell out. Anyway, to the computer. All right, everyone. So here is a map of the Blade Show floor. You can see immediately how huge this space is. I'm going to run you through the main room and the outside room, and then some of the stuff surrounding the general Cobb Galleria Center itself, which is right here. So you can kind of get a lay of the land. But so in terms of Balisong stuff, the place that you want to go, so this is the main entrance area, the baller room. which is actually, if you look right here. So there's parking in a few areas around the show. This is the main parking lot that I always park at and most people park at. It goes very deep. You want to get there early to get a spot, but it usually is pretty easy to do. But there's a tunnel underground that takes you right into the main show floor area with like an elevator up and some stairs and all that. But there's parking all around the whole show area itself, the whole convention area. While we're looking outside, the place that BaliComp takes place, so the main entrance is here. But BaliComp is generally, I can't confirm that it's going to be here again. Hey there, so I had some out-of-date information. BaliComp used to take place outside, but it is now going to be taking place indoors, which is amazing because Atlanta in June is very hot and very humid, so I'm very glad that it's not going to be outside this year. But it's actually going to be pretty much where the pit is in the Renaissance Waverly Hotel. And in terms of when this video goes live, their registration's open until May 22nd. And it's relatively easy to sign up, from what I understand. They have a whole dedicated page on Blade HQ because Blade HQ are the people that run BaliComp. But they have a whole FAQ that I'll have linked in the description. But they have, but for first place you get $500, second place $300, third place $100. Then everybody gets like a swag bag, and like I know some people they've gotten like some really high end knives for free, and even sometimes like just for competing, you'll get some really cool stuff. So BaliComp is fantastic. It's a well run show, and I'm really glad that it's going to be inside this year because it's going to be easier to watch and easier on the competitors because you won't be flipping outside in the hot, humid awfulness. But yeah. It's a great time, so definitely, if you're going to Blade Show, plan to go to BaliComp on Saturday, June 8th, which is like the main day for the show. So anyway, back to current me. But in terms of Balisong stuff, the main place you want to be is in this purple area in the bottom right. There's the blue area. This is the main room, and the main room is absolutely huge, and I'll go over that in a second. But most of the actual, like you'll find smaller people that sell Balisongs and like some of the bigger name stuff being in the main knife area, but those are knife companies that happen to have Balisongs. The companies that are actually focused on Balisongs are going to be in this corner here in this smaller room. As you can see, this is maybe 20% the size of the main big room area. But if we look down here, this is where you can actually see some of the main companies that you may recognize. Squid Industries always occupies a bunch of space. This is generally their tuning area and a dedicated flipping area. Then they have their main booth area and another dedicated spot. So they usually have two dedicated places for people to flip their Balisongs. And then I believe it was the same last year. You have Jerry Holm right here. Heibel Knives, which is a question mark. I wasn't anticipating Heibel to be here. Maybe he won't be. Maybe somebody else could confirm if he will or not. But traditionally, or at least last year, that's where he was. Then we have Machine Wise and EPS Knives right next to each other. This was where Flightanium was in 2023. But they have now moved. I guess before I move on, they moved to a different spot. But this area is generally also where you have a lot of Balisong stuff. Like last year, Shop Soet was here, or Acid Works / Paul, who makes the Zyzix, he was there. Then he had a couple other smaller makers that were selling Balisongs and stuff. But this is generally the corner that Will and I always get trapped is this right here. These doors are usually closed and you can't get in them from the outside because the main like entrance is right there. And that's the corner that we'll often get trapped in, and that's where we'll have our Balisongs and we just kind of get swarmed by people, which is great. But that's kind of the corner. Hopefully, my hope is as much fun as it is being swarmed by people. I'm hopeful we'll be able to kind of utilize Machine Wise's area to kind of make a more of a home base to actually have our gear and stuff. But that's a separate conversation. But that's the main area that you want to go. This is where 90% of the people that flip Balisongs and are there for Balisongs are going to be. So anything butterfly knife related is generally a place to go. Now you do have a couple sporadically placed people, and weirdly BRS is almost never with the Balisong people, despite them mostly being that. They are actually in this corner over here, along with Flytanium. But you have Revo and BRS, 244 and 242. And then you have Flytanium up at 249. So there will be a little bit of a corner there. There's also the Blade HQ area in the top left. They always have a lot of fun stuff. But you're going to see a lot of places that you recognize for sure. Down here, they also generally carry Balisongs, is Smoky Mountain Knife Works, which has pretty much the biggest knife store in the world, I believe. So if you want to get into butterfly knife stuff, it's not just this room, but the companies that are dedicated just to Balisongs are generally here. So this is the place to congregate. If you're looking at... Oh, there's Benchmade. Benchmade's in the main room right there. Who knows what Balisongs they have. I may get their new Balisong despite it being a horrible deal for what it's made out of, but that might be a Blade Show purchase. We'll see. But this is the main general area, and then you have the area surrounding the show. In terms of the pit, because I said I was going to give a location of the pit, this is going to be hard to show because it's a little bit specific to get to. But if you look at the actual map provided by the actual convention center itself, again, this is the main big room. This is the area for that most of the Balisong stuff is in. This A corner right there is generally... or is where most of the Balisong stuff is going to be taking place. Apologies for the burps. But to get to the pit, as I said earlier, it's in the Renaissance Waverly Hotel. So here's the Cobb Galleria Center. And then it's essentially attached to it is the Renaissance Waverly Hotel. Let's not look at a room, but let's get... Oh, there's a guy's feet. Oh, you're giving those out for free, baby? Come on now. That's not going to do us anything. How about let's pop into... Can we pop into Street View? Let's pop into Street View. Okay, there's the outside. Can we go inside? Can we go? Okay, that's still the outside. Has anyone taken any photos? There we go. Here we go. So this is the Renaissance Waverly Hotel. Pretty cool hotel. Glass elevators. I've actually shot conventions that aren't Blade Show. But if you go from this area, here's the main entrance area for the event is right here. The rotunda entrance. And if you go here, this will be on a second floor area. But if you go to these escalators right here, those will take you down. And then those will, if you just keep going in this direction, kind of, or this BR2, BR1, in that direction, there will be a hallway. You'll walk down that hallway, and you'll eventually come out about right here in this little back corner here, and you'll come out. Sometimes people congregate here. In 2022, that's where most of the flippers went. But the reason this is called the pit is because it's just a giant... It feels like you're in a pit. But most people congregate up these stairs right here. There's also some escalators, and up there is the main area that most of the people flip Balisongs at. I'll show a clip of one of Ethan or / Blade Bias / Camaro EE. He did a video about Blade Show at the pit, and that'll kind of give you a vibe of what that is and what most people will do. But that's the general show floor itself. Some of that stuff could change, of course, but I believe this is pretty much set in stone. But in terms of the stuff to do around the show, I have plenty of recommendations for that. There's a ton of awesome stuff to do in Atlanta. To give you kind of a lay of the land, this is Atlanta proper here. And the actual... Can we get a better resolution here, Google? There, that's fine. This is actual downtown Atlanta. The airport is down here. But so they say, the show takes place in Atlanta, but it's actually in the city of Cumberland. Ha ha, cum joke. And that's where there's actually a really cool baseball stadium that's close. That's where the Atlanta Braves play. But in terms of stuff to do around the show, there's lots of places to eat, but my main recommendation of where to go to eat, if you need something quick, go to this mall right here. This mall, the Cumberland Mall, has a ton of options. It's a great mall. There's an excellent bowling / arcade place that is fantastic. I actually just went there with my girlfriend for our 3-year anniversary. It's called Round One. Tons of arcade machines. There's the arcade machine. No, but they have a bunch of Japanese food, a bunch of Japanese arcade games. along with traditional arcade games. You can get tickets and prizes and all that kind of stuff. That's always a blast to go to. None of these pictures are doing it justice, but they have tons of games and tons of stuff to do. So that'd be my recommendation for like a quick fix. There are things in the actual Cobb Galleria Center itself that you can go and eat at, but those are generally very busy during the actual show itself. So generally, there are walking paths to get here as well. There's this bridge right here that you can walk across from the main show to the mall, and that's usually where most people will go to get lunch and stuff like that. But the main thing that I recommend that every person I've taken it to, we actually had a whole dinner with the like entire Squid Industries team here. It is called Iron Age. Iron Age, all you can eat Korean barbecue. And it is just about 10-15 minutes from the main show area. And this is my favorite place to go in the entire world for food. And why are none of these pictures doing anything justice? But it's an all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue. It costs about $25 to $30 a person, but you get unlimited pretty much everything from prime steak to bulgogi to shrimp to chicken. All these sides here that you see are all unlimited. And you just cook the meat family style. Here's a nice little video. You cook it family style, you all share, and it is an amazing time. And I have been to a bunch of Korean barbecue places, and this is by far my favorite place to eat. Probably in the entire world, but it's the best Korean barbecue place that I've been to in terms of the quality of the all-you-can-eat ingredients. You cook it yourself. They got K-pop and everything playing everywhere. It's a fantastic time. If you're looking for something nature-related, something that Will and I have done a ton of times and still have never been able to do it with people actually going to Blade Show, which is a huge bummer. I've always wanted to do it, but I don't think it's ever going to be able to happen. But right here is the Chattahoochee River. They call it Shootin' the Hooch. And you can kayak and you can tube or even just float. You could even swim in it if you wanted to. But it's just an exceptional river that has a ton of cool stuff. There's a bamboo forest you can stop at that is absolutely gorgeous. And the river itself is overall pretty clean and stuff. So you can go to the bamboo forest. There's this a coffee shop that you can stop at that is meant to only be for a specific apartment complex. But the Chattahoochee Coffee Company has a great little outdoor like seating area that's right on the river and stuff. It's really, really pretty. Highly recommend if you want to get out in nature during the show. That's one of the best ways to do it is shoot the hooch. It's an awesome time. If you go to, there's this Chattahoochee NRA Powers Island unit. This is a place where you can rent kayaks and tubes and all that. And so it takes like 2 to 4 hours, but it's an amazing time if there's good weather. You go from here down to this Pace's Mill area. That's where you get off. They'll pick you up, take you back to your car, all that good stuff. Could not recommend that more highly. And one of our places to go after we're done kayaking, can I just find it? It would be over, hold on, I got this. I'm a professional. Pace's Mill, here it is, Copeland's. Copeland's, New Orleans is a great place to go eat if you want a seafood experience. But after getting off the river and spending a bunch of time doing that, going to eat some seafood is just an incredible time. So there's lots of stuff to do. Up north, you have the city of Marietta, which has a really, really cool, the Marietta Square. That is a really great just downtown square with tons of stuff to do, lots of places to eat, a little theater and stuff, and some cool history. It's right on a railroad and all that. Usually a lot of cool art and events going on at the Marietta Square. So that's a great place. And then just going down to, if you want to go into Atlanta proper, there's the Georgia Aquarium, which is fantastic. If you want to see some whale sharks, if you want to see the Centennial Olympic Park where the Olympics was held, that's still all there and has a ton of really cool stuff to do. One of my favorite places to go is called Ponce City Market, which is in a restored Sears facility. And so everything you can actually see here, this all used to be like a big production floor. for an actual, like, the company Sears, where they would make stuff. But now it's just a ton of local, like all local places making tons of different kinds of food. Anything you could ever want to eat is in Ponce City Market, and it's a great place to go. And it's relatively pricey, but it's really, really cool. There's a great vibe in there. There's a lot of cool history and stuff. And that's connected to the Atlanta Beltline, which is somewhat world famous in that it is just a giant, very, very long. That is the worst picture that could have ever been pulled up. It is a very long and great. Why are these all at night? Give me anything during the day. Sure, this is fine. Yeah, with all the construction everywhere whenever it was a travesty. But this is the Atlanta Beltline. You can walk down the Atlanta Beltline. You can rent bikes and scooters and all that. But it basically, if I go into this here, this line here, it just goes and goes and goes. It eventually leads to the historic Fourth Ward Park, which is a skate park. And there's a really cool underpass that always has a lot of really cool art and graffiti. But it's a very safe area. And it leads you to a ton of really cool places. It also eventually leads to the Krog Street Market, which is right here. Krog Street Market is awesome. Again, another, like, tons of local food and stuff, with tons of small vendor areas that has, like, seating and all that. And this is all walkable. You can walk to it in within half an hour. Tons of really cool food. Great place to just hang out, whether you want to just get some food or you want to have a beer, you want to hang out. So those are mostly my recommendations. There's also Piedmont Park, which is essentially like Atlanta's, like, Central Park equivalent, that has a lot of, Will and I have actually shot a lot of videos in Piedmont Park, just because it's a great park with a bunch of open space and some cool architecture and stuff like that. And you get some skyline views and all that good stuff. But the whole general area of Atlanta is pretty great. And the places surrounding the actual show are pretty awesome. There's an escape room right there. Oh, I've been to this escape room. Yeah, I've been to that escape room. It's great. But yeah, I hope this kind of gives you a lay of the land a little bit better. And if you're excited for Blade Show, come and hang out. Come say hi, please. We love getting to talk to people and meet people. So if you're going to be there, absolutely come say hi. I want to hang out. I want to flip your knives. I want to get to know you. But forgive me if we're in the middle of shooting a video and I can't talk, or if I'm a little exacerbated by the whole experience. But I'll do my best, and I'm excited to get to meet everybody. And I think it's going to be an absolute blast. And Buffness, I hope this satisfies your need for Blade Show content. I believe I'm also going to be doing a podcast with Ethan on the Blade Bias channel, the Blade Bias podcast, just about Blade Show. And I think we're actually going to be recording that tomorrow, and it'll release sometime within the next couple weeks. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.